When the iPad mini rumours were flying, I said, what's the point? We've got iPhones, we've got iPads, so where does the iPad mini fit into the Apple ecosystem? Apple announced the iPad mini last week in a surprise event in an unknown location. It was announced as well as a load of other products from Apple, but it was the one that was anticipated the most from the reviews prior to the release. When Phil Schiller announced it on stage, he made a huge deal that the iPad mini would work with existing iPad applications. The specs were the same as the iPad 2s except for the back and the front cameras, which were more like iPad 3s or iPad 4s. The one thing that it was lacking, however, was a Retina display, which might put a lot of people off. However, from my testing, I didn't find it as much of a problem as I thought I would. The screen looks clear from an arm's length away, and it's only when you get it up close that you notice the difference. All existing iPad applications work too, including my favourites like Tweetbot, Spotify, Facebook and Path, which I have included footage of here. However, if you're going to use iPhone only applications, for example Instagram, which I show a bit of footage of in a second, you might want to avoid it because the lack of Retina doesn't make it look the best application in the world. I tried to get a close-up of Instagram and especially the text, and you can see it's very, very pixelated and blurry, not as good as the iPad applications. One hugely requested thing for me to look at was the quality of text on all three devices, given a bit of a comparison. So in front of you now is the Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling on all three devices, and you can kind of see from here that the iPad 3 definitely has the better quality screen, as you would expect, and iPhone 5 in a close second, and iPad mini too. But like I said, from an arm's length away, you can't see the difference. Here I've just done a bit of comparison between the iPad mini and the Retina display on the iPad, and you can see that obviously there's a difference in pixels, but you can also see that the iPad mini kind of has brighter whites because of the way that the screen is closer to the glass. So whereas normally the iPad 3 would look a bit more blue, the iPad mini has a more whitish colour to the screen. Battery life is everything that Apple promised too. As you can see from here, the iPad mini was halfway through its battery life when I recorded this, and it had 9 hours of usage and a day of standby time, whereas the iPad 3 had just an hour more at 10 hours, even though it was 2/3 of the way through its battery life, but it did have a lot more standby. The design of the iPad mini is beautiful too, similar to the iPhone 5, especially if you get the slate and black design. It kind of looks blue in a different light, which is really cool, and these buttons are beautifully crafted. So who is the iPad mini for? Because of the smaller screen size, I'd recommend it personally for RSS feeds or checking the news or reading books, similar to a Kindle in style. But you can also do things like watch YouTube videos on the small screen too, and also put movies on. If you get a big enough size, you can fit quite a lot of movies onto this screen, which is near 720p resolution. If you're going for photo editing or video editing, I recommend the iPad 3 or 4, but for the casual user who browses the web, does a bit of reading and watches a few videos, the iPad mini is absolutely perfect. So maybe in a year's time Apple will release this as a second gen with a Retina display, and for now you can always go and look at the iPad or the iPhone as an alternative option, but I would go and check out the iPad mini because it's definitely my favourite device at the moment and I plan to use it a lot.